Duty of President, VP to uphold Constitution. Senior SC advocate backs Dhankhars. Judiciary remarks it is the duty of the President and Vice President to uphold the Constitution, said Senior Supreme Court advocate Mahesh Jethmalani. He backed Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar's strong words to the judiciary during his speech to Rajya Sabha interns, days after the Supreme Court sought to fix a timeline for the President to grant assent to the bills reserved for her consideration by the Governor. Jethmalani told CNN News 18 that all Dhankhar has done is point out a constitutional flaw amid a growing public perception that there is a tendency towards judicial overreach. All Dhankharji has done has pointed a constitutional flaw. Public perception is reflected on social media. Lack of transparency is an important matter. The transfer of Justice Varma Kashadhomro has not gone down well with people. The President or the VP Vice President has a duty to uphold the Constitution, he said. On Thursday, April 18, Dhankhar criticized the Supreme Court's recent order on fixing a timeline for the President to grant assent to state bills. He questioned the judiciary over the decision and said the Supreme Court cannot fire a nuclear missile at democratic forces. Also read complete Justice vs. Nuclear Missile. What is Article 142 that has been excoriated by Vice President Dhankhar? So, we have judges who will legislate, who will perform executive functions, who will act as super parliament and absolutely have no accountability because the law of the land does not apply to them, he said. Voicing his support for the Vice President. Jethmalani wrote a detailed post on his social media. He said serious issues in recent times have created public perception that the Indian judiciary lacks transparency and accountability. Referring to the Justice Yashwant Varma Kashadhom case, he said this was especially true in its dealing with sensitive issues pertaining to itself, the chief among them being judicial corruption. The Justice Yashwant Varma issue has spawned a declaration of assets by judicial officers including those of the Supreme Court, the abandonment of the practice of simple transfer of errant judges to other courts, the subjection of allegedly corrupt judges to criminal investigations and perhaps even to inquiries by ombudsmen such as the Uphold, he wrote in a post on X. In very recent times a series of issues have conspired to create public perception that the Indian judiciary lacks transparency and accountability in dealing with sensitive issues pertaining to itself, the chief among them being judicial corruption. The Justice Yashwant Varma Mahesh Jethmalani M. April 18, 2025. During his speech, Dhankhar also questioned the lack of fur in the Kashadhom case, wondering whether a category beyond law has secured immunity from prosecution. The SC had ordered an in-house probe into the alleged discovery of half-burnt wads of cash from Justice Varma's residence after a fire on the night of Holi on March 14. The judge has now been repatriated from the Delhi High Court to his parent High Court of Allahabad. He also questioned the legal standing of the three-judge panel carrying out an in-house probe into the matter. Referring to the case, he said every Indian is deeply concerned. If the event had taken place at his common man's house, the speed would have been an electronic rocket. Now it is not even a cattle cart, he said, adding that an investigation is the domain of the executive and not the judiciary. Swipe left for next video. Jethmalani further said the recent two-judge decision of an SC bench to impose a timeline of 3 months for the President to dispose of state bills was bound to stir a hornet's nest. He said it took Dhankhar, irrepressible and accomplished jurist, to take up cudgels and point out a patent constitutional flaw. While some may question the constitutional propriety of a symbolic second head of the state entering the arena of conflict between two limbs of government, the pointing out of a patent constitutional flaw, the VP is an accomplished jurist. Besides that, Article 1453 of the Constitution mandated that a question pertaining to the interpretation of a constitutional provision be dealt with by a 5-judge bench only, and that the 2-judge bench decision was a nullity would surely be in discharge of the Vice President's sworn obligation to uphold the Constitution, he added. Latest blogs.